Okay, so this is my story about how I found out that I have HIV. Okay. It was when I first moved to Dallas. I was in a relationship with this guy. I call him Peanut. I was in a relationship with this guy named Peanut. Or I nicknamed him Peanut anyway. And after we've been having sex for a while, I had contracted clamídia from him. So now normally I would go to the doctor to get tested like every 6 months for HIV. And when I first moved to Dallas, I didn't know where to go. So it had been like 7 months since I had been there. So no, actually, matter of fact, it was more than that. It was about 8 months, 8 or 9 months. And I had contracted the chlamydia. So I found the clinic, and I went to the clinic, and I was like, well, while I'm here getting treated for the chlamydia, I also need to get tested for the HIV. And she was like, okay. She gave me the test. They also gave me the medication for the chlamydia. I left, whatever. And so I went back and I told, and I'm like, yo, you gave me the clap. The chlamydia, he had some shit to say or whatever. And so, in between the time that I got the test and I found out, my friend Courtney had come to visit me. It was some shit that happened in between because I lost my job. Courtney came to visit, and then we started doing some illegal shit to get money. So it was like he had been down there for like a month, I think. And so we was like resting in between our trips to go make money at the house. And then I was like, oh, I need to go make this money real quick by myself. And so I went to go do what I needed to do. And I left Courtney at the house. And then Courtney called me, he was like, girl, it's some lady that keep calling the house. I was like, no, not no lady calling for me. That bitch calling the wrong phone number. And he was like, no, but she know your name. I was like, she know my name. Are you sure? She might have been calling for my dad, because my dad has the same name, but why would they be calling a Texas number for him? And she was like, I don't know. Courtney was like, I don't know. So we hung up the phone. And then he was like, bitch, that lady that called the house, she came by here. I was like, did you open the door? He said, yes, and she's looking for you. Did she tell you why? And he was like, no, but she left a phone number and a card. I was like, well, what's that say on the card? And he read the name to me. The name didn't say for me. It was like a plain card. It was a business card though. So when I got back to the house, he gave me the card. I was like, what the fuck is this? I don't know who this is. I said, I'll figure this out. So I sat down on the computer and I Googled her name. And it came up that she was with the health department. I was like, bitch, why is the health department coming to my house? I just moved down here. What the fuck? And Courtney was like, girl, I don't know what that is. I never heard of that before. I was like, well, only thing I could think of is I got my HIV test, but I didn't go back to get the results. And so we were just sitting there. Now, this was at night after the health department had already closed. So we couldn't go and find out exactly what it was. And I wasn't calling her phone number. I wanted to double check on my own first. So I went online and I found another place that does HIV testing that is not connected to the health department. it was like family planning or something like that. I was like, you know what, bitch? I'm just to go to family planning and let them test me and see what they say. Because I don't know who the fuck this lady is. This could be some kind of scam or something. So we got at family planning, they give you the test, but you get the answer back in like a couple of hours. So we just had to wait there. So we were just sitting there that night. This is all the stuff I read online. So we were sitting there that night, the night before we went to family planning. I was like, bitch, what if I found out I got the virus, girl? He was like, well, bitch, I guess you're just gonna die. And so we sat there and we just laughed about it or whatever. And then the next day, I was like, girl, you gonna go with me, girl? He was like, yeah, I guess. So we went over to family planning, which was in Arlington, because I lived in Fort Worth at the time. And we pulled up. I went in, got tested. I was sitting there waiting, and so I went out to the car, and he was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "They said they'd be ready in like an hour, so guess we just wait." We sit there tripping or whatever. So I went back inside, and the lady called me to the back, and she was like, and she had the piece of paper upside down. She was like, "Okay, so I need you to just let's just take a breath together. I just need you to know." And she said some shit to me, some counselor shit. If you need a hug, I just let you know that I love you. I was like, you love me? Okay. And then she flipped the paper over and she was like, your test came back positive. I was like, oh, okay. I was like, okay. She said, you want to touch one of our counselors? I was like, no, I'm good. She was like, okay. Well, let me give you a couple of phone numbers to call. I was like, okay. And she gave me the phone numbers. I walked out to the car. As soon as I got in the car, I just put my face in that bitch's lap and I cried. I screamed and hollered as loud as I fucking could. And Courtney was like, oh my God, girl. It's positive. I was like, yes. I was like, bitch, I don't know what the fuck I want to do. We sat there in the parking lot and he was like, well, girl, let's go back to the house. I was like, okay. Tears gone. And so we drove back to the house. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, bitch, I just started talking to Daireyon. This is the boyfriend that I had at the time. Okay, so I was fucking around with Peanut when I first got there, and then I met Daireyon, which Daireyon was an upgrade to me. So I was like, I'm gonna quit fucking with Peanut, and I'm gonna start fucking with Daireyon. So I was like serious with Daireyon, but Daireyon was like, he was in school, and I was horny all the time, so I was still fucking with Peanut. This is how I ended up catching chlamydia. So I was like, oh my God, what am I gonna tell Daireyon? He's gonna break up with me. Bitch, she was like, oh girl, I don't know what to tell you. I was like, oh my gosh. Okay, so this is what I'm gonna do first. I'm gonna get tested again because them people in Texas, I was like, these people in Texas, they probably don't know what they're talking about. So I'm gonna go back to Nashville and get tested again. And he was like, okay. So I took Courtney home. Did I take him home? No, wait. I went the next morning and I talked to that lady. No, she came to the house again. Yes, that's what happened. She came to the house again the next day. Because I was gonna go to get tested again in Nashville. This would have been like the third time, because I got tested 3 times because I didn't believe anything that they was telling me. Because the reason why I didn't believe it is because I had read about the syphilis experiment in Alabama with the I think they're called the Tuskegee men, the Tuskegee experiment. And one thing I learned from that reading that experiment, which I read the whole book about the experiment, is they only went to get tested at the local place. They didn't go and get a second opinion from someplace else. So I went to the health department in Dallas, then I went to family planning, which is not connected to the health department. Then I went to Nashville and got tested again a third time. So after the third test, that's when I was like, okay, yeah, I got it. But in between that, okay, so the next day, she came to the house. That lady came to the house. This was after family planning, and she was sitting there talking to me. And she was like, "Well, I need to know everybody you slept with. I need their names, phone number, anything you can tell me." I was like, because we need to, she's like, well, we need to get in contact with them, let them know, because we need to track, you know, if you gave it to anybody. Which, by the way, this happened in like the year of 9/11. Whenever 9/11 happened, this is the year when I realized, this is when I found out that I had contracted it. So, and this year is 2025. As of this year, I have never given it to anybody since I've had it. But she was like, we need to track down to make sure that you haven't given it to, but this was back then, during the time before I realized that I had it and I've been having sex. And I was like, okay, so I gave her, she was like, even if you kiss somebody, we need to know everything. So I was like, I gave her my whole sexual history. I don't know how this bitch did it, but she contacted every fucking body I ever had sex with that I told her about. It was like some CIA shit. Because I remember I got in contact with this one dude like a couple of months later. He was like, the health department slipped a note under my door and told me I need to come in and get tested because somebody I had sex with had HIV. I was like, oh really, for real? Who you think it was? Because I wasn't telling him it was me, but I never had sex with him again though, either. But I mean, I couldn't have because I was living in Dallas at the time and he lived in Nashville. But anyway, so back to the next day. So she came in, she got all the information. Then she was like, we need you to come in and talk to a doctor about getting set up on medication. Which, when she said that, all kind of red flags went up because, okay, I came out in like 95. Kind of, sort of came out. And when I came out, the medication was just starting to get better because in the 80s when they realized what kind of medication to use or combinations or whatever, it tore up a lot of people's bodies. And so when we used to go to the club, you could always tell who had the virus because the medication, I mean, it ripped their fucking bodies apart. I'm not gonna give no examples, but anyway. So when she said, I was like, okay, we're gonna see about this. So, I went to the doctor the next day, whatever, and she was there, and I don't know, she like introduced me to the doctor, and then she left me there. They took my blood or whatever to check my viral load and tell me what kind of medication I was going to need to take or whatever. Which the doctors and nurses, everything were cool. Then I went back like a week later, and she told me what they were trying to explain what viral load and stuff was and all of that. I was like, that just don't make no sense to me. I didn't say that though. I just listened to what they were saying. But in the back of my mind, before they started their medication, I was like, yeah, before y'all call yourself trying to run an experiment on me and put me on that shit that I saw other people on, I'm going back to Nashville to get tested again. So I sat there and I listened to what they were saying, and then they told me about the medication and it had to be ordered. I was like, okay. So then after that, Courtney had already went home. So then that's when I got up by myself and I drove to Nashville. Nobody knew I was in town. And I went to the Lentz health department and I got tested. And then I waited the time, and then I drove back to Nashville again to get the results because, and this is something that was strange to me, the turnaround time for the results for the test on each time that I went to a different place, it was different because the health department was one thing in Dallas, or well, it wasn't Dallas, it was Fort Worth actually. The health department in Fort Worth was one thing. Then family planning, it was like the same day. And then the one in Nashville, it's like 10 days. And I was like, something's not right. This is what I was thinking. So I waited the 10 days and I went back to Nashville. And she was like, she told me the same thing that the counselor in Dallas, in Fort Worth said. Oh, I just want you to brace yourself. And I just want you to know that if you need a hug, I can give you a hug. And I love you. With this I love you shit again. I was like, oh no, that's fine. You just, what does it say? She was like, it says it's positive. Oh, okay. She was like, well, do you want to talk to me about it? No, I gotta go. I got some other stuff I gotta do today. She was like, okay, well, let me give you your phone number and blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay. And I left out. And I was like, okay, well, I go talk to him about the medication. Well, I go to get the medication. So when I went back to Fort Worth, I got the medication and I just started taking it. And I never had any of the issues that the other people I saw take medication have. I never have any of that. They started me on one thing, and then I just went back every 3 months to get tested and my viral load checked. And then my medication changed like 2 years later. And then once the medication or the pharmacy companies started to advance with what they was doing, that's the only reason why the medication changed. It's like, well, we got something new. So because before I was taking, at first I was taking like 4 pills, and then after that it went down to 3, and then from there it went to 2, and then after that it went to 1 pill. So that's the only reason why I like the medication changed since then. But since I first started it, but other than that, my viral load just kept going down until now, which I am undetectable. Now I know when I got here to Brazil, my medication changed again because Brazil doesn't have the pharmacy companies here. They don't have the same medication. I mean, I take the equivalent of what I was taking in the United States, but it's 2 pills now instead of 1 pill like what I was taking. It's a combination in the United States. But I have had the virus since I was like, hold on. What year was 9/11?
The 9/11 attacks occurred in 2001.
Okay, so, and it's 2025, so I've had it for 24 years. Yep. I've had it for 24 years. I am 49 years old now, and I just turned 49, and I turn 50 next year in June. So I've had it for 25 years. It don't even really feel like or seem like, I don't know, I guess I just had it for so long, it's just like regular. I ain't tell my family. No, I told my father. When I found out, the first person I told was my father. I called him on the phone. I was like, hey, I just went and got tested for HIV, and it's fine. I found out that I have it. He was like, oh, damn. Shit. Ah, fuck. You coming back to Nashville? I was like, no. He was like, okay, so what you gotta do? I was like, nothing. I just gotta take the medication. He was like, okay. All right. And then that was it. That was the end of that. And then, okay. So I went and told Daireyon, my boyfriend at the time, and I was like, yo, I got something serious I need to talk to you about. And he was like, what is it? I was like, no, this can't be talked. I can't talk to you about this over the phone. I need to come by your house. And he was like, okay. I went over there, and he had just moved into his apartment because he moved from Nacogdoches, Texas, to Arlington. And so he hadn't got his furniture yet. He had only been in his apartment for like a week or whatever. I think it was less than a month. It was like a week or two. And so he was sitting on a moving box in the middle of his bedroom. I was like, yo, I just went and got tested. Like right before you moved here, and the lady, he's like, tested for what? I'm like, for HIV. And the lady came to the house and told me that I have HIV. He was like, are you serious? And then he just started bawling. He was crying. He was like, I don't want you to die. I don't want you to die. And I was like, well, I mean, there's nothing we can really do about that. They're going to give me medication. I can take the medication. And he was like, no. So evidently, the stories he heard or have seen was the horror stories that I was remembering also. But then I guess just like as time went on, I didn't really think nothing about it. Like, I mean, he didn't think nothing about it either. We dated for like 5 years, and then it was like on and off. It was just like a regular relationship. It wouldn't, and the HIV was never even an issue in our relationship. I haven't really had any issues with people and having it. The biggest issue that I had was this one time on, not Grindr, what's the other one? Jacked. This dude hit me up. He was like, "Oh my gosh, yo, I want to meet you. Come by the house. Come meet me or whatever." I was like, "Okay." And then he hit me back like a couple of seconds later. Another couple minutes later, he was like, "Oh, yo, I just read your profile. I didn't know that you HIV positive. My bad. I don't sleep with the." He said, "I don't have sex with the Walking Dead." I was like, okay," and I left it alone. That's about the harshest thing that I had to deal with, and that happened like right before I moved here to Brazil. Other than that, ain't nobody else had no issues with it. My dad knows. I think my mom knows by now. I don't really. It's not like a topic of conversation with us. I know my brothers and sisters know, but I think they know because my dad told them. Like taking the medication, nobody really pays attention when you popping pills, unless it's drugs. So when I'm at work or whatever, and I take my medication, nobody even, like I've had over the course of the 25 years, maybe 10 people say, "What are you taking?" And everybody always. I mean, it's always a bunch of people who got issues, so you can always just be like, "Oh, it's high blood pressure," or I don't know, anything, diabetes, or it's a multivitamin. And ain't nobody. Let me see them pills. Hold your hand open. You know, nobody do no shit like that. So I mean, I just take the medication, and then nobody pays it any attention. It hasn't really even been an issue for me. I don't really even think about it as a crippling issue. But I mean, I know it's not good. I talked to Daireyon not too long ago. I was like, which, keep in mind, I have not given it to anybody since I caught it. But to verify, I talked to Daireyon, I was like, not too long ago, because after our relationship, we went our separate ways for some years, and then we just reconnected, and I was like, "Yo, so how's your status? You know, is you still in the negative?" And he was like, "Yeah, I'm fine. I don't." And plus, he was like, "Nah, I'm on prep and doxy prep. I don't have no problems, no issues." I was like, "Cool. I just want to make sure because I know I found out when I was with you, and it's like kind of my thing to make sure that you don't never contract it." He's like, "I'm good." I was like, "Cool." But that's my story.